The Lens program on UBC TV is proudly brought to you by
My name is Susan Opok Tumusime, and I am the Executive Director of Fawe, Uganda. Fawe, Uganda started in 1997 and working towards enhancing opportunities for girls and women's education. We are happy to say that as we have been celebrating the Women's Month and as we come to a close, many things have been said. However, we want to say that we are glad that we have the Women's Month, but we are saying and calling to action that every girl, especially those in and out of school, need to be supported to get an education, because education is transformative, education is an equalizer, and education contributes to the well-being and to the development of this country. Fawe is a Pan-African organization that was formed in 1992 by 5 women ministers of education who met in Nairobi during the Education for All process. They initiated and agreed that as Africa, because girls have been left out of education, that an organization, an institution is created, is initiated to support the education of girls, to ensure that girls access, remain in school, and complete their cycles of education. Aspect is to ensure girls' education, to increase the number of girls in education, because we all know that education is transformative. Education provides opportunities for various people to succeed, to live lives that are amiable. They also may contribute to development in various ways. We have seen girls and boys that we support. And I must say here that I know that Fawe's mandate is to enhance girls' education. However, we also support boys, because we know that society is created of both male and female. So whilst we focus on girls within our scholarship programs, we actually support boys as well. Sponsorship, education sponsorship, scholarship bursaries is our prime mandate. We support young people majorly aged 15 to 25, and these are majorly at higher education level, as well as TVET, that is technical vocational institutions. Although we also support a few girls and boys at secondary education level. We have been supporting young people that have dropped out of school, but importantly, those that are vulnerable. And vulnerability comes in various ways, because many times when we talk about vulnerability, people think about orphans and the such kind of people, but our perspective is broad. You may be an orphan, you might be a young person who has parents, but you're kind of disadvantaged. You find that there are girls who are being sent for marriage. You find that there are those whose parents cannot pay fees and they are at the verge of dropping out. You find that there are girls who have suffered abuse. We have young mothers today, as you may know, that teenage pregnancy is so much on the high. And there are very many girls that have dropped out of school or at the verge of dropping out because of various reasons, and so we take them up. Additionally, what we do is prevention of violence against children, because violence in schools has impacted on the education of young people. So we take that as something that is important, and so we work with schools, various schools, especially in the sub-regions of Rwenzori, to ensure that young people are supported to be in school, but that parents understand that violence impacts on the child, on their capability, on their performance, on their social lives. So working with parents as well as with schools to provide conducive environments and opportunities for young people to ensure that the gender norms, issues to do with marriage, sexual abuse, child abuse are limited, but also ensuring that parents actually pay fees for their children to attend school, ensure that they provide food and meals for their children, but also in addition to only supporting with the prevention, we also build capacity of school leaders, of children on issues to do with violence prevention. We provide information, but we also do parenting support. We have a program on skillful parenting. What is it that a parent needs to do? How is parenting supposed to be done? What is it and how does it happen at home? How do people communicate? How do you budget? How do you plan? How do you speak to your children so that they can actually be able to be good children and be able to stay in school? Thirdly, we do research on issues to do with girls' education and girls' well-being. We've done various researches, even together with the Ministry of Education. We first did a research on the relationship between teenage pregnancy and school dropout, which was a major research which informed various policies, including the guidelines on prevention and management of teenage pregnancies in schools. We have done research following the COVID time. We did a research on the impact of COVID-19 on school-going girls and young women. And that was to try and see what the impact is and whether at that point girls had dropped out, what were the issues facing them. And it was very interesting to find that many girls were impacted by COVID, many got pregnant. In other cases, girls were forced into marriage and relationships by their parents as survival mechanisms. And that you can know how it impacts. These are children, and yet they're being forced. There was issues to do with the online bullying during the COVID-19 time. Girls were, asked by people that got in touch with them to show their parts of their bodies, being abused and bullied online. So all those issues came to the fore, and we were able to, bring this to the powers that be, to the ministries, the line ministries, Ministry of Education, Gender, institutions and agencies such as UNICEF, the British Council, and so on, to try and see how we could actually mitigate the kind of abuses that were being, that girls were facing. We also, lastly, can say that we do advocacy on issues that affect girls and women's education. So, as I said, we need conducive environments. We worked with various partners, including the Ministry of Education, to ensure that we had the guidelines on teenage pregnancy, school re-entry for pregnant girls and young women, and which was approved in 2020 by the Minister of Education. And it is helping and has helped many girls to return to school, but also to understand, for the school system, for the parents to understand the intricacies around teenage pregnancies and how girls can actually be supported. We also worked on a guideline on the role of senior women and senior male teachers in schools. What are their roles? How can they be supportive to support learning, teaching and learning processes? Because as you may know, that sometimes children are in school, in the classroom, but they are disengaged. So the question is, how can these senior women teachers, senior male teachers support these children who maybe have gone through abuse, whose parents or families may be facing domestic violence? How do you work with the child, with the school administrators, and sometimes also with the parents and communities to bring back this child to be able to concentrate on their education and succeed?
You are watching the Lens program. Stay tuned.
We have built capacity of various institutions, that is from, looking from the primary level to the universities, on models that Fawe utilizes. We have the gender responsive pedagogy as an example, which is a Fawe model and has been taken on by various institutions, because the model is looking at how we can create conducive environments within the school and outside of the schools. How is the teaching and learning processes going on? How do teachers communicate or talk to students? How are students, the kind of language, what are the kind of tools that are being utilized? For instance, you find that in various materials, learning materials in the past, girls were shown as nurses, as teachers, while the male was shown as engineers and doctors and so on. So the GRP, the gender responsive pedagogy, tries to align that and say that no, it's not only girls that need to be nurses, need to be teachers. Girls can also be engineers, they can be doctors, they can be agriculturalists. So girls have as good potential as their male counterparts. We also have another model, which is the Tuseme model, which has helped young people in school to be able to speak out about the issues that affect them. Because you find that in schools, maybe there's an abusive teacher. You find maybe for those in boarding schools, the food is bad, the kitchen or the infrastructure is limited or not good. So students are able to act, because Tuseme utilizes theater. It is a Swahili word that says or states that let's speak up. So students act out through theater and are able to voice out issues that are affecting them within the school or also at home, but have an impact on their education. And out of this, we have seen schools being responsive to students. And it has really, it is something that seems to be growing. It is implemented through clubs within the school system, and it's working at all levels from primary to university. It's a tool that we are really trying to do so that to amplify, so that students' issues are brought to the fore. So Fawe also has been building the capacity of teachers on how they need to present themselves, what they need to do, how they need to do. So we talk about system strengthening, because as we work with institutions, the issues is, are those institutions functional? Are they functioning to support the young people in order for them to fulfill their potential? So that is done through capacity building on various issues that can enable school environments, teaching and learning environments to be conducive. Now, one of the greatest innovations in the recent past, because out of our scholarship processes, we have scholarships at secondary level, which is funded majorly by a campaign that we initiated in the last maybe few years, 2 years or so, which is called the 20K campaign for transformation. So this initiative arose because we as Fawe have had various people approaching us. We have young people or girls who are at the verge of dropping out, who have dropped out, who have lost parents, etc., coming to Fawe. We have had referrals from schools, maybe of a child whose parents have died or failed to pay school fees, or So at Fawe, we almost, I can say that every other day we have, as a minimum, 5 people either coming to ask for support or referring someone or introducing someone. I must say, even the Ministry of Education has sent us, young people or parents who have, approached the ministry, because we believe that, there is a spirit of giving that has been majorly left to the, the international communities. But from what we saw when we initiated this campaign, people are willing to give. And we were able to get funding from good persons of goodwill, and we were able to support about 25 at that time, that was 2 years ago, 25 young people who were going to drop out of school, who were not going to sit their national exams, the UCE and USCE. And we were able to pay for them through the 20K campaign. Additionally, the Fawe Uganda team as staff, we also contribute monthly from our salaries. And we have also been able to support young people in school, those that walk in and out, because most of our scholarships currently are at higher education and TVET. And through this higher education and TVET support, we are supporting majorly students in STEM, those doing science, which is, science, technology, courses. So if we don't add on to, because the 20K campaign supports majorly those at secondary education, the internal bursary of Fawe's Uganda staff also is supporting those at secondary education. However, there are young people who are going higher, who do not have funding, that also need our support. So we have a grant, or we have grants from various partners, the MasterCard Foundation being our biggest funder, who has supported us since 2017 with a scholarship. Initially, we started with a direct scholarship for young people in STEM. And we went to initially 16 districts, having done a quick assessment that needed personnel in STEM, teachers, agriculturalists, engineers, all that kind of STEM, and we supported 334 young people within the phase 1 of the MasterCard Foundation program. Eventually, as one of the objectives of that program was to initiate a bridging program, because there was a realization that many young people drop out of school because they may not have gotten the required principle to take them to higher education, especially university. As we may know that in Uganda, for you to attain university education, you must have scored at least 2 principles. So I have talked a lot about what and how we do our activities. And also, of course, I have emphasized so much on the mentorship processes, because that is critical to the success of young people today. What I can say is that we have gotten 100, almost, I should say 99% success rate amidst, of course, the various challenges. But importantly, we have worked very collaboratively with different partners, including the government of Uganda, because we work with the Ministry of Education very closely. They are part of our scholarship committee. We are part of the technical working groups, and so they engage with us. But we worked with the National Council for Higher Education, we work with universities, and we work with communities. So for us as Fawe, that is a plus, because we are able to reach every segment of society, to roll out our programs, but also to discuss and present what we are doing for the young people of this country. Scholarships being our key role, we have been able to change policy, to contribute towards policy, the education policy, and transformation of education. The Higher Education Access Certificate has been one of the key innovations in secondary or in higher education. And for us to have penetrated government, to have worked with the National Council for Higher Education and universities, and to have this policy approved by the government of Uganda, by the Minister for Education and Sports, is a great contribution to the education of young people in this country. And out of this, we have had about 1,183 young people who would not have been in education, who would not have been in higher education, go through this process. So we are proud. And a number of these students are today working in various positions. They are in government roles, they are in private sector, some of them are entrepreneurs. So we are contributing to the development of this country. That is a key success. That is a key point that we cannot negate. And I must say that there is no institution in this country or Pan-African institution that is as big as Fawe, as the Forum for African Women Education is, in supporting the education of girls and boys. We emphasize on girls because our mandate is girls' education, and of all our scholarship, 80% positions are for girls. So we have contributed to transforming the lives of individuals, of communities, of institutions, and we are really, really proud of that. We have also been able to change the perceptions and attitudes of parents, of caregivers, of people that engage with young people, to ensure that children, girls, at whatever point are taken to school, but also that we kind of dissuade and have dissuaded bad practices, including child marriage. We have allowed and fostered parents and communities to return their girls who have dropped out of school, who are at the verge of dropping out from school, who have been abused, to return them to schools. And this is really appreciated by individuals, by communities, by government officials, by stakeholders. So we come and continue to say that education is the key to success. Now, various partners have been part of this journey. We haven't done it alone. We have communities, we have the students alone. They have come out to say, I am interested. Can I join? Can I be supported? We have government of Uganda. The National Council is part of the Ministry of Education. They accredited the Higher Education Access Certificate in 2019. So now we say we have 15 universities that have students being supported in by Fawe Uganda. However, we also have universities whose capacity we have built to appreciate the Higher Education Access Certificate, but also to utilize the models, the Fawe Uganda or Fawe models, to support the teaching and learning processes. That is a big contribution to the nation of Uganda, to the development of this country. We have supported students in STEM. STEM is what the world and where the world is going. Like I said, these many children who would not have been in school, who would not have had the opportunities to do, to have or get into their dream courses, fulfill the potential that God has given them. That for sure is a success that we are proud of as Fawe Uganda. But we also want to say that we are very appreciative to the various partners that have worked with us. The MasterCard Foundation, that is our biggest partner. We have the Social Initiative. We have the Mr. Forberg. We have the contributors to the 20K campaign, which I am calling upon us all as Ugandans, as people of goodwill, to contribute to. If you can contribute 20,000 shillings monthly for the education of a girl, of a child, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't you have brought a smile to a young, maybe disadvantaged, vulnerable young person? I think it is a call for us that without education, we cannot transform Uganda. And so we would like for each and every one of us to engage, to be a contributor to the education of young people. Otherwise, we will have a disadvantaged country. We have moved around the world and we have seen what education can do. It can make the unimaginable actually become manageable. So how can we together, the government of Uganda that has given, because Fawe as an institution complements the work of the government of Uganda. So may I also call upon the government of Uganda to continue to support us. I know that our patron is the First Lady, who is the minister, because according to Fawe Constitution, as an African institution, all female ministers of education are patrons of Fawe in the different countries. All members, female ministers of education, should be a part of Fawe. The members of parliament, we have people in good positions. I know I have heard the Speaker of Parliament recently talk about her support for girls' education. Madam Speaker, could you please come and join us and support the education of girls, because every girl that is out there is a cry to this nation, and every girl that joins education will make this nation a better place to be in. Ladies and gentlemen, education support is for all of us. Could we join hands? Please join our 20K for Transformation campaign to bring a smile to a young person, to a vulnerable girl and boy. We trust in you, we believe in you, and we know that together we will make this nation a better place. Thank you.
Wow.
The Lens program on UBC TV is proudly brought to you by